Sanford, Virginia knows. 42. Tall. Quiet. The kind of guy who mows his own lawn on Saturdays and waves at every single neighbor, whether they wave back or not. Married to Denise, a corporate attorney who makes more per hour than most people make in a day. 2 kids. Nice house on Briar Creek Road. One of those streets where the mailboxes all match and the lawns look like they were cut with a ruler. He has 2 cars, a boring silver Explorer for the school run, and a matte black Lamborghini Urus sitting in the driveway, paid for in full. No loan, no lease, just cash. In a neighborhood like Briar Creek, a car like that asks questions without saying a word. What does Malcolm do? Government consulting. That is what he tells everyone. Every neighbor, every parent at school pickup, every person who sees the Lambo and cannot help themselves from asking. Government consulting. It is the most boring answer on the planet. And that is exactly why he uses it. Nobody digs deeper into government consulting. You hear those 2 words and your brain checks out. Perfect. Now, here is a detail that seems small, but is not. Every morning, Malcolm straps on a heavy silver watch, adjusts it just right, face tilted slightly inward. Denise asked about it once. He said a colleague gave it to him. That is technically not a lie. Keep that watch in the back of your mind. Trust me on this. Sanford, Virginia. 61,000 people. 78% white. It is the kind of place where people say, "We don't see color," and then someone calls the cops because a black family's cookout went past 9 o'clock. The police department has 94 officers. 11 are black. In 18 months, 3 excessive force complaints have been filed. All 3 involved black drivers. All 3 were investigated internally. All 3 were cleared. 3 for 3. Perfect record. If you are the department, anyway. Now the man with the baton. Craig Dutton. 34. Born here, raised here, badge here. His daddy was Sanford PD before him. Dutton is the guy everyone likes in the locker room. Loud, funny, confident. Good cop on paper. But pull his traffic stop numbers, and the paper starts to smell. 412 stops in 3 years. 68% involved black or Latino drivers. In a town that is almost 80% white. Read that again. 68%. That is not bad luck. That is a habit. Dutton does not think he is racist, by the way. He would swear on it, and he would mean it. But what you believe about yourself and what the data says about you are 2 very different conversations. His boss, Sergeant Harold Benson. 51. Quiet type. Signs off on Dutton's paperwork the way most people sign for a package. Does not open it. Does not check it. Just scribbles his name and moves on. He has been doing this for 4 years. Every report, every stop. Approved. Done. Next. Then there is Tanya Moore, 24, brand new. 5 months on the job and still figuring out where the good coffee is. She is Dutton's partner today, and the only instruction she has ever been given about riding with Dutton is this: back him up, keep quiet, and learn. She is going to learn something today, just not what anyone planned. Saturday morning. Malcolm kisses his daughter on the forehead, grabs his keys, and, for no particular reason, picks the Lamborghini instead of the Explorer. Maybe he just wants to feel the engine. Maybe his kid asked about the cool car. Does not matter. He pulls out of the driveway, turns onto Briar Creek Road. Speedometer sitting at 32 in a 35 zone. Windows up, Music low. Just a man driving his own car through his own neighborhood on a Saturday. 4 minutes. That is how long it takes before blue lights show up in his mirror. And right there, on that quiet suburban street, the worst day of Craig Dutton's life begins. He just does not know it yet. Malcolm sees the lights. He does not speed up, does not panic. He signals right, pulls to the curb slowly, puts the car in park. Both hands on the steering wheel. 10 and 2. Window already down. He has done this before. Not this exact thing, but this. The pullover. The wait. The quiet calculation of how to stay alive during a routine traffic stop. Every black man in America knows this choreography. You learn it the way you learn to tie your shoes. Except, getting it wrong does not mean a loose lace. Dutton takes his time getting out of the cruiser. Moore steps out the passenger side, hand resting on her belt. She stays near the back bumper. Her body cam is running. Dutton does not walk to the window first. Instead, he does something that tells you everything you need to know about what is happening inside his head. He walks the full perimeter of the Lamborghini. Slowly, running his fingertips along the fender like he is inspecting something at an auction, like he is appraising property that has already been seized. He circles the entire car before he even looks at Malcolm. Then he gets to the window, does not introduce himself, does not say good morning, does not state a reason for the stop. Nice ride. Registration and insurance. Now. Malcolm, calm as a man ordering coffee. Good afternoon, officer. Can I ask why I was pulled over? Because I said so. Registration, insurance. Now. I'm reaching into my glove box for my documents. I didn't ask you to narrate. Just move. Malcolm moves slowly, hands visible the entire time. He pulls out his registration and insurance card and holds them out. Dutton snatches them, scans the registration, reads the name, reads it again. Malcolm Wright, and this vehicle is registered to Malcolm Wright. He says it like the words do not fit together, like the name and the car exist in two different languages, and someone made a translation error. Must be nice. What do you do, Malcolm? Government consulting. Dutton snorts. Government consulting. In a $200,000 truck. He shakes his head slowly. Right. He walks back to the cruiser with Malcolm's documents. And now comes the wait. The long, deliberate, unnecessary wait. 5 minutes. Malcolm sits still. 8 minutes. His hands have not moved from the steering wheel. 11 minutes. The average traffic stop in America takes between 8 and 12 minutes. Malcolm is now past that window, and Dutton has not come back. 12 minutes, and Dutton returns. But something has shifted. His stance is wider. His hand sits closer to his hip. His chin is up. Whatever he was doing in that cruiser for 12 minutes, it was not paperwork. Mr. Wright, step out of the vehicle. Officer, I've provided all my documents. They're clean. Can you tell me the reason I need to step out? I am not going to ask you again. Malcolm opens the door, steps out slowly, hands visible. He stands at his full height, 6'2", navy polo, khakis, clean sneakers. He looks like a man going to brunch, not a crime scene. Hands on the roof. Malcolm places his palms flat on the roof of his own Lamborghini. The car he paid for. The car registered in his name. And he presses his hands onto it like a suspect, while a cop who has found nothing wrong stands behind him with a hand near his weapon. Moore watches from the back. She shifts her weight from one foot to the other. Her body cam catches her glancing at Dutton, then looking away fast, like she saw something she was not supposed to see. Dutton pats Malcolm down, runs his hands along his sides, his waist, his pockets. Nothing. No weapon, no contraband. Nothing but a wallet, a phone, and a set of keys with a standard-looking keychain fob attached. Dutton glances at the fob, turns it over once, tosses the keys back onto the driver's seat. Remember that keychain fob. If you rewatch this part later, you are going to lose your mind. Dutton steps back, looks at the car, looks at Malcolm. And here comes the line that tells you this was never about a traffic stop. You got an attitude, you know that? Standing there looking at me like you're somebody. Malcolm does not respond. He keeps his hands on the roof, keeps his eyes forward. His breathing has not changed once since this started. Dutton walks around to the passenger side, points through the windshield at the passenger seat where a manila envelope sits on the leather. What's in the envelope? Personal documents. Open it. I do not consent to a search of my vehicle, officer. Dutton tries the passenger door. Locked. Malcolm hit the auto lock when he stepped out. A small thing. An automatic thing. What happens next takes about 3 seconds, but it is going to echo for a lot longer than that. Dutton pulls his baton, steps back, and swings it straight through the passenger side window. The glass does not just crack, it explodes inward. Fragments spray across the cream leather seat, the center console, the manila envelope, the floor mats. The sound is sharp, clean, almost musical. Then silence. Malcolm closes his eyes. 1 second. 2. When he opens them, his expression has not changed. Not one muscle. Moore, behind them, takes a step back. Her lips move, but no sound comes out. Her body cam catches everything. Dutton reaches through the broken window, grabs the envelope, holds it up like a trophy, then walks back around to Malcolm and delivers the line you heard at the beginning of this video. Get your dirty black hands off that steering wheel and get out. Malcolm is already out. He has been out. Dutton's words do not even make tactical sense anymore. This is not policing. This is performance. This is a man who has already decided the ending and is just filling in the middle. Dutton radios in. Dispatch, I've got an uncooperative suspect, possible stolen vehicle, requesting backup at Briar Creek and Elm. Uncooperative. Malcolm has complied with every single instruction. Possible stolen vehicle. The registration is in Malcolm's name and came back clean 12 minutes ago. But that is what goes out on the radio. That is what the backup units hear. 2 more cruisers show up within 4 minutes. Sergeant Harold Benson steps out of the first one. He looks at the scene. A black man in khakis standing with his hands up beside a smashed Lamborghini. 3 patrol cars. Broken glass on the pavement. Benson looks at the broken window. Looks at Dutton. You got this handled? Yes, sir. Just waiting on the VIN check. Benson nods, gets back in his cruiser. That is it. That is the whole conversation. His officer just put a baton through a civilian's car window, and the only question the supervisor asks is whether the situation is handled. Not what happened, not why there is broken glass everywhere, not whether the man standing in his own neighborhood with his hands in the air is okay. Nothing. Meanwhile, the evidence is already stacking. Body cam footage running on both Dutton and Moore's cameras. The in-car cruiser camera recording audio. GPS data showing Malcolm was pulled over 0.3 of a mile from his own house.
Dispatch logs showing 0 stolen vehicle reports for any Lamborghini in the entire Tri-County area.
There was no reason for this stop, no reason for the search, no reason for the broken window. The only reason any of this happened is standing right there in a uniform, holding a manila envelope that does not belong to him. And he still has no idea what is inside it. Bro, imagine that it is you, your car, your street, and some dude in a uniform smashes your window and says you don't belong. What do you even do with that? Because Malcolm just stood there. And I don't think I could. Malcolm is placed in the back of Dutton's cruiser, not arrested, not cuffed, just detained. The door locks from the outside, and that is that. He sits behind the cage partition with his hands in his lap, looking straight ahead, saying absolutely nothing. 22 minutes. That is how long they keep him in that back seat. 22 minutes of sitting in a police cruiser 3/10 of a mile from his own house while his Lamborghini sits on the curb with a smashed window and glass all over the seats. Here is what is strange, though. Malcolm does not call a lawyer, does not ask for a phone call, does not demand a badge number, does not raise his voice. Nothing. He just sits there like a man waiting for a bus he knows is coming. And if you are watching this thinking, why is he so calm? Hold that thought. You will get your answer. And it will flip everything you think you know about this man upside down. While Malcolm sits in the back, something interesting is happening outside. Dutton and Benson are standing between the two cruisers, talking. They think they are having a private conversation. They are not, because the in-car camera in Dutton's cruiser is recording audio the entire time. Dutton, low voice. Guy's got a clean record. Registration checks out. Benson, so what's the play? I write it up as reasonable suspicion, tinted windows, envelope in plain view. Benson pauses. The window you broke was the passenger side. Right, because I observed suspicious materials through the windshield. Exigent circumstances. Another pause. Longer this time. Then Benson, quiet. Fine. Just make sure the report's clean. Just make sure the report is clean. Not, what did you do? Not, why did you break the window? Just make the paper look right. These two men are standing on an American street, building a false narrative in real time. And from the way they talk, this is not their first time. This is routine. This is Tuesday. After 22 minutes, Dutton opens the back door, tells Malcolm he is free to go. No citation, no arrest, no charges, and definitely no apology. Dutton, smirking. Have a good day, Mr. Wright. Drive safe. Malcolm steps out, walks to his Lamborghini without a word. Glass is still covering the passenger seat. He brushes a few pieces off the driver's side, sits down, starts the engine, and drives home at exactly the speed limit. He does not say a single word. Not one. But the second he walks through his front door, something shifts. Denise sees his face from the kitchen. She does not ask what happened. She has seen that expression before. She just watches him walk past her toward his office. Malcolm closes the door, picks up the phone. One call. It's right. Priority upload. Sanford PD. Officer Craig Dutton. Badge number 1142. Sergeant Harold Benson. Supervising. I have audio, visual, and a Fourth Amendment violation with property destruction. This one's clean. The voice on the other end. Copy. Files flagged. Are you good? I'm good. My car isn't. A pause. Then Malcolm laughs. Not a happy laugh, not a relieved laugh. The kind of laugh that comes out when a man who has been building a case for 8 months watches a small town cop hand deliver the evidence gift wrapped. Now, if you are paying attention, your brain is starting to rearrange some things right now. Priority upload, audio and visual, badge numbers memorized and ready to go. This is not a man who just went through a traumatic experience and is calling a lawyer. This is something else entirely. But we are not there yet. Almost. Not yet. The next morning, Malcolm is in the driveway, looking at the broken window. A neighbor walks over, white guy, mid-50s, genuine concern on his face. Malcolm, what happened? You all right? Had a run-in with local law enforcement. That's terrible. You should file a complaint. Malcolm, half smiling. Already taken care of. Already taken care of. The neighbor hears a civilian complaint, maybe a phone call to the department, maybe a letter to the city council. That is not what Malcolm means. That is not what Malcolm means at all. And then there is Pastor Jerome Davis. 58 years old, runs Greater Hope Fellowship, the largest black church in Sanford. For 3 years, this man has been collecting stories. Every traffic stop, every pat down, every "I got pulled over for nothing." He has it all in a binder. A physical 3-ring binder with tabs and dates and witness names and badge numbers. He has filed formal complaints with Sanford PD 4 separate times. 4 times the department investigated itself. 4 times the department found nothing wrong. Pastor Davis does not know Malcolm Wright is anything more than a neighbor who goes to church sometimes. But Malcolm knows about Davis. Malcolm has read every single page in that binder, and very soon, that binder is going to matter more than Pastor Davis ever imagined. 3 days later, Tuesday morning, Sanford PD briefing room. Smells like bad coffee and floor wax. Dutton is near the front, leaning back, telling some fishing story. Benson is in the corner, sipping from a styrofoam cup. Moore is in the back row. Quiet. She has not slept well in 3 days. Every time she closes her eyes, she hears glass breaking. Shift assignments, patrol zones, reminder about the department cookout. Normal. Boring. Tuesday. Then the door opens. 3 people walk in like they own the building. 2 men in dark suits. 1 woman, gray blazer, credentials on her belt. The kind of face that does not smile, because smiling is not in the job description. The room goes quiet. Not gradually, instantly. Captain Roy Garrison stands up. He was not expecting visitors. His face says that, loud and clear. Captain Garrison, I'm Deputy Director Elaine Crawford, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Civil Rights Division. FBI does not show up at local departments for parking tickets. Civil Rights Division does not show up at all unless something has gone very wrong. We are here pursuant to a federal investigation into systemic civil rights violations by officers of the Sanford Police Department. I have a warrant authorizing seizure of body cam footage, personnel files, internal affairs records, and dispatch logs dating back 36 months. She places the warrant on the table. The paper barely makes a sound, but it hits that room like a bomb. Nobody moves. Dutton's fishing story is gone. His mouth is open. His hands are flat on his thighs. Crawford is not done. This investigation was initiated based on evidence gathered by a special agent embedded within this community for the past 8 months. Embedded. 8 months. Someone has been here, among them, watching, listening, recording. Dutton's face has not changed yet. He is still thinking this is about someone else. Not him. Not possible. Crawford takes one breath. The agent in question is Special Agent Malcolm Wright. The room collapses. Dutton's face goes white. The blood leaves his cheeks like someone opened a drain. His coffee cup rattles on the table. His hand is shaking. And then his knees buckle. Not a metaphor. His actual knees give out, and he catches himself on the edge of that table. Because the man he called a gorilla in a tuxedo, the man whose window he smashed, the man he told to get his dirty black hands off the steering wheel, that man is a federal agent who has been investigating him for months. Benson stands up, sits down, stands up again, looks like a man trying to leave his own body. Moore closes her eyes. A single tear rolls down her cheek. But her shoulders drop. She is not crying because she is scared. She is crying because someone finally showed up. Crawford pulls out a tablet, taps the screen. Malcolm's voice fills the room. "I do not consent to a search of my vehicle, officer." Then, the sound of glass breaking. The footage is from Malcolm's watch. That heavy silver watch he adjusts every morning, the gift from a colleague. It is an FBI-issued covert recording device. 43 minutes of continuous audio and video. Every word Dutton said. Every swing of the baton. Every shard of glass. Every syllable of gorilla in a tuxedo. All of it. Federal evidence. Authenticated. Logged. Go back to section 2 right now. The part where Malcolm straps on that watch. He was not fidgeting. He was activating a recording device. And Dutton just gave him the grand finale. Crawford taps again. Footage stops. Additionally, the documents Officer Dutton seized from the vehicle were classified FBI case materials related to this investigation. The unauthorized seizure constitutes a separate federal offense under Title 18, Section 2232. The manila envelope. The thing Dutton reached through a broken window to grab, the suspicious materials. Those were FBI case files. About him. About his department. He broke a window to steal the evidence against himself. Dutton tries to speak. His voice cracks. I didn't know he was... Crawford does not blink. Whether you knew his identity is irrelevant, officer. The law applies regardless of who the victim is. That line. That is the whole story right there. The law does not require the victim to carry a badge, does not require him to be recording, does not care if the man in the Lamborghini is an FBI agent or a plumber or a pastor or a kid driving his mom's car. You cannot do what Dutton did to anyone. Malcolm just happened to be the one who could prove it. Moore stands up, walks toward one of the agents, voice shaking but feet steady. I have something I need to report about that stop and about others. She is terrified, but she is standing, and in a room full of men who spent years looking the other way, the youngest badge is the first one to open her mouth. Here is where the story stops being about one traffic stop and starts being about an entire department. The FBI Civil Rights Division is not investigating what happened to Malcolm Wright on Briar Creek Road. I mean, they are, but that is not the whole picture. What they are investigating is a pattern and practice of discriminatory policing at Sanford PD. That is the legal term, pattern or practice. It falls under 34 USC section 12601. And if you have heard of Ferguson or Baltimore or Chicago, you have heard of this law. It is the same tool the Department of Justice used to crack open those departments. Malcolm's stop was not the thing that started the investigation. It was the thing that finished it. The final piece, the last brick in a wall that has been going up for 8 months. Malcolm endured that humiliation on purpose, strategically. Not because he had to, but because he knew exactly what Dutton would do if given the opportunity. And Dutton delivered. Now the real work begins. FBI analysts pull 18 months of body cam footage from Sanford PD's servers. Every traffic stop, every interaction, every foot of digital tape. And they start flagging. 23 incidents involving Craig Dutton alone, all involving Black or Latino drivers. And the patterns are so consistent, it is almost like Dutton was following a manual. Stops with no stated reason. Dutton pulls over a black man in a Honda Accord and writes "taillight malfunction" on the report. The body cam footage shows both taillights working perfectly. Prolonged detentions. Average stop time for black drivers with Dutton is 34 minutes. Average for white drivers in identical situations is 9. 34 versus 9. Same cop, same streets, same laws. Aggressive language from the first word. No greeting, no identification, just commands. And searches without consent or probable cause, over and over and over. In one stop, Dutton pulls over a 22-year-old black college student driving a BMW. The kid is wearing a university sweatshirt. His registration is clean. His license is spotless. Dutton's first words to him are, "Let me guess, your parents co-signed?" The kid is a pre-med honors graduate. The car was a graduation gift from his grandmother. He sat on the side of the road for 41 minutes. No citation was issued. That kid never filed a complaint. Most of them don't. And that is the part that makes this whole thing so much worse. For every person who walked into Sanford PD and filled out a form, there are a dozen more who just drove home and tried to forget about it, who told themselves it was not worth the trouble, who knew that complaining to the department about the department was like asking the fox to investigate the henhouse. But the FBI is not the fox, and they are not asking. Now, Sergeant Harold Benson, the quiet one, the paper signer. Here is what the investigation finds about Harold Benson. Every single one of Dutton's incident reports for the past 4 years passed through Benson's desk. Every one was approved. Not one was questioned. Not one was sent back. Not one was flagged for review. And here is the part that turns Benson from a lazy supervisor into something worse. 3 civilian complaints were filed against Dutton in the past 18 months. All 3 came from members of Pastor Davis's congregation. All 3 landed on Benson's desk for internal review. Benson's process for reviewing those complaints was as follows. He read Dutton's version. He checked the report. He signed the clearance form. Done. He never watched the body cam footage. Not once. 3 complaints. 3 opportunities to pull the tape and see what actually happened. 3 times he chose not to look. Because looking might mean finding something. And finding something might mean doing something. And doing something is not Harold Benson's style. When the FBI asks Benson about this in his initial interview, his answer is beautiful in its emptiness. I trusted my officer's judgment. I had no reason to doubt his reports. No reason to doubt, except the body cam footage that contradicts every single one of those reports. Footage that was sitting on the department server the entire time. Footage that Benson had full access to and never once opened. That is not trust. That is architecture. That is a system designed so that the person checking the work is the same person who benefits from not finding anything wrong. Now, Tanya Moore. This is where the story gets complicated, in the best way. Moore sits down with FBI investigators and gives a full statement. She is nervous. Her hands are shaking. But she talks. And once she starts, she does not stop. She tells them about the culture, how from her first day, she was told that questioning a senior officer's stop was disloyal. Not against the rules, disloyal. Like it was personal. Like the badge was a family, and snitching on family was the worst thing you could do. She tells them what Dutton said in the cruiser before the stop, before the lights went on, before any of it. He saw the Lamborghini, pointed at it, and said 2 words. Drug dealer. That was it. Drug dealer. He did not run the plates first, did not check the registration, did not have a reason. He saw a black man in an expensive car, and that was enough. She tells them about Benson's instruction on her first week. If Dutton makes a stop, you back him up. Don't ask questions. Not training, not guidance, an order. Keep quiet and learn. And then she gives them the text messages. Moore has screenshots from a group chat between Dutton and 4 other officers. She does not read the messages out loud. She hands them over on her phone and looks at the floor while the agents scroll through. The narrator does not repeat what those messages say either, but the FBI catalogs every word, every slur, every joke, every casual, comfortable, unashamed line of racism that these men typed to each other while wearing badges paid for by the people they were mocking. Moore is not a hero in this story. She knows that. She stood on Briar Creek Road and watched Dutton smash that window, and she did not say a word. She heard him call Malcolm a gorilla, and she did not step forward. She failed in the moment, and she will carry that. But 3 days later, she walked into a room full of federal agents and opened her mouth. And that matters. Not enough to erase what she did not do, but enough to change what happens next. Pastor Jerome Davis. 3 years of binders. 3 years of being ignored. FBI agents show up at Greater Hope Fellowship on a Wednesday afternoon. Davis meets them in his office. He is suspicious, arms crossed. He has been through this before. Every time I hand over my records, nothing happens. Why should I believe this time is different? The agent across from him, steady. Because this time, we're not asking your department to investigate itself. Davis looks at the agent for a long time. Then he stands up, walks to a filing cabinet, and pulls out his binder. 3 years. Every incident is documented. Names, dates, badge numbers, witness contacts, cross-referenced and tabbed. He has been doing the FBI's job for 3 years with a 3-ring binder and a church copier. And now, finally, someone is listening. Now, the confrontation. Dutton's formal interview with FBI civil rights investigators. He has a lawyer next to him, not the police union attorney, because the union has already backed away. A private lawyer. paid out of pocket. That tells you everything about where Dutton stands right now. Alone. The investigator starts to calm. Professional. Almost friendly. Officer Dutton, what was your stated basis for the traffic stop of Mr. Wright? I observed the vehicle traveling in a manner that suggested the driver might be unfamiliar with the area. Mr. Wright has lived at his registered address in your patrol zone for 8 months. I wasn't aware of that. You ran his registration. His address appeared on the document you were holding in your hand. Dutton's lawyer. My client has answered the question. Officer Dutton, why did you break the passenger side window of Mr. Wright's vehicle? I observed suspicious materials on the passenger seat and believed exigent circumstances justified. The materials were a sealed manila envelope. In your report, you described them as, quote, a large package consistent with narcotics packaging. Is that accurate? Dutton does not answer. Those materials were classified FBI case documents, officer. You seized federal evidence during an unlawful search. Dutton's lawyer asks for a break. The investigator does not raise his voice once. Does not need to. The facts are doing all the work. Every answer Dutton gives runs into a wall of body cam footage and timestamps and documents that say the opposite. The investigation does not stop at Dutton. It goes up. Captain Roy Garrison, head of Internal Affairs, is next. His defense is the same empty suit Benson wore. We followed departmental procedure. And that is technically true. They did follow procedure. The problem is the procedure itself. Departmental procedure at Sanford PD routes complaints to the accused officer's direct supervisor for review, which means Benson reviewed complaints about Dutton, and Garrison signed off on Benson's reviews. Nobody independent ever touched those files. The process was designed to clear, not to investigate. It was not a broken system. The system was working exactly as designed, to protect its own. One more beat. A quiet one. Malcolm at home. Evening. His daughter is doing homework at the kitchen table. She looks up. Daddy, when is the car window getting fixed? Soon, baby. What happened to it? An accident. Denise is standing in the doorway. She does not correct him. She just watches. She has been a federal agent's wife long enough to know which silences to leave alone. Later, after the kids are in bed, Malcolm and Denise on the couch. He is staring at nothing. I've done undercover work in places that would give you nightmares. But nothing hits like being treated as a suspect in your own neighborhood, in front of your own house. Denise puts her hand on his, does not say anything, does not need to. Because this is the part people forget. Malcolm Wright is an FBI special agent. He has training and clearance and a recording device on his wrist. But underneath all of that, he is also just a black man living in America. And the badge does not make the sting go away. It just means you have somewhere to put it. 6 weeks. That is how long it takes for the FBI Civil Rights Division to finish what Pastor Jerome Davis spent 3 years begging someone to start. The findings land like a freight train. Officer Craig Dutton, charged with deprivation of civil rights under color of law, 18 U.S.C. Section 242, unlawful search and seizure, destruction of property, filing a false police report, and one charge that nobody saw coming: unauthorized seizure of classified federal materials. That last one is the envelope. The envelope he smashed a window to grab. The envelope that contained the case files about him. Every charge is federal. Every charge carries prison time. Sergeant Harold Benson, charged with conspiracy to deprive civil rights for knowingly approving false reports. Obstruction of justice for burying 3 civilian complaints without reviewing available evidence. 2 charges, both federal. Captain Roy Garrison, not criminally charged, but removed from command of internal affairs effective immediately. Referred for administrative action. Failure of supervisory oversight. His career in law enforcement is functionally over. He just does not have handcuffs to show for it. Dutton's termination hearing is short, 15 minutes. He walks in wearing a suit instead of a uniform for the first time in 6 years. His badge and service weapon are collected at the door. He signs the paperwork. Nobody shakes his hand. He walks out carrying a cardboard box. His father's name is on the department's wall of honor. Craig Dutton's name will not be joining it. His criminal trial is set for federal court, not state court, not Sanford County. Federal, where the judges do not golf with the police chief and the jury pool is not pulled from the same 61,000 people who wave at Dutton in the grocery store. Benson does not make it to a hearing. He resigns before termination proceedings begin. Quietly. No press conference, no statement. He takes a plea deal on the conspiracy charge. Reduced sentence in exchange for full cooperation. He provides testimony about departmental practices going back a decade. Every shortcut, every buried complaint, every report he signed without reading. Harold Benson spent 6 years making sure the paperwork looked clean. In the end, it was his own paperwork that buried him. And then comes the part that matters more than any individual punishment. The city of Sanford enters into a federal consent decree, a binding legal agreement that says, you will fix this, or we will fix it for you. The terms are specific. Independent oversight of all internal affairs investigations. No more department investigating itself. Mandatory racial bias training with annual recertification. Not a one-time seminar. Every year. Every officer. Body cam footage review by an external civilian board. Not the captain. Not the sergeant. Civilians. People from the community with the authority to watch the tapes and ask hard questions. And a completely rebuilt complaint process that routes directly to an independent office, bypassing the chain of command entirely. City Councilman Gerald Underwood issues a public statement. This is not the legacy we wanted, but it is the correction we needed. Tanya Moore is not charged. Her cooperation is documented in the federal report. She does not celebrate. She transfers to a new unit created under the consent decree, Community Liaison, a job that did not exist at Sanford PD 6 weeks ago. Moore did not speak up fast enough. She would be the first to tell you that. But when the moment came to choose between silence and truth, she chose truth. And that choice cracked the whole thing open. And Malcolm Wright. After 6 weeks of depositions and evidence reviews and classified briefings, Malcolm receives a commendation from the FBI Civil Rights Division. The ceremony is private. No cameras, no press, just a handshake and a piece of paper that says what he did mattered. After the ceremony, Malcolm drives home in his new Lamborghini Urus. Same color, same spec, matte black, paid in cash. Again. He pulls into the driveway on Briar Creek Road. His daughter comes running out the front door. He picks her up. She wraps her arms around his neck and he holds her there for a long time. The neighbor waves from across the street. Malcolm waves back. Same man, same street, same car. But the world around him is a little different now. Not fixed, not perfect, but different. And sometimes, different is where it starts. Here is what stays with me about this story. Between 2015 and 2024, the Department of Justice opened pattern or practice investigations into more than 20 police departments across the United States. 20. And in nearly every single one, the findings were the same. Systemic bias, inadequate oversight, a culture that punished the people who spoke up more than it punished the people who did wrong. 20 departments, same story, over and over. Malcolm Wright was able to hold Craig Dutton accountable because he happened to be carrying an FBI badge and a recording device disguised as a wristwatch. He had the training. He had the backup. He had an entire federal division ready to move when the moment came. But what about the man who does not have any of that? What about the college kid in the BMW who sat on the side of the road for 41 minutes because an officer decided a black student could not possibly own a nice car? That kid went home, did not file a complaint, did not tell anyone, just swallowed it and moved on. What about Pastor Davis? 3 years of documenting every incident. 3 years of filing complaints. 3 years of being told nothing is wrong when everything is wrong. He did not have a badge. He had a binder and a copier and the stubborn refusal to stop. What about every person who got pulled over, patted down, talked to like they were less than human, and then drove home and sat in their driveway for 10 minutes trying to feel normal again? No body cam, no recording device, no federal backup, just their word. And too often, their word was not enough. The law that Craig Dutton violated does not say the victim has to be an FBI agent. It does not say the victim needs a hidden camera. It says you cannot do what he did to anyone, period. The badge means you protect people, all people, not just the ones who look like you or drive the cars you think they should drive. Pastor Davis sits on the Civilian Oversight Board now. First meeting, he opens that binder one last time, reads a single name out loud. The first person who filed a complaint 3 years ago, the one that got dismissed in 48 hours. This is who we are here for. Every name in this binder. Every person who was told nothing was wrong. Something was wrong. And now we are going to fix it. I want to hear from you. Have you ever been judged before someone even knew your name? Have you ever had someone look at you and decide who you are before you opened your mouth? Every story matters. Man, this one got me. Like, just picture it. That is your driveway, your car, your kids watching. And some dude with a badge treats you like trash. What would you hear this and drop your answer below? For real.